Toco the Toucan is building a massive dome. He has a diameter, or D, of 50 meters. The diameter is the whole thing of the circle. And the radius, or R, is half of the circle. Radius is half of the diameter, or the diameter is 2 radiuses. The circumference is pi times diameter, or pi times 2 times the radius. Pi is equal to 3.14. So the circumference for Toco the Toucan's dome is 3.14 times 50, which is equal to 157. Now, off to the next section. So in order to make a circle, you can take 4 radius and alternate them in a plus formation around the center, or you could do the same thing but with a diameter instead, and 2. Then you connect them with a circular edge, as you can see. Now, Toco the Toucan has a parallelogram snack bar in the middle of his dome. He wants a parallelogram because why not? So the height of it is 5 meters, and the base is 7 meters. So the area equals base times height. So the area is 7 times 5, and therefore the area is 35 meters squared. Toco the Toucan has a triangular fridge and a snack bar because who wouldn't want one? So you have to find the area of the height and base, which is 1 meter for both. Now there's 2 ways you could find it. The first way is by splitting the triangle in half and using the 2 edges that make a right angle. So you take 1 times 0.5 and divide it by 2. So 1 times 0.5 is 0.5. And then you divide that by 2, which is 0.225. Now you take 0.25 and add it with 0.25 to give you 0.5 meters squared. The second way to do it is times the base and the height, which is 1 meter for both, which then will equal 1, and divide it by 2, which equals 0.5 meters squared. Toco the Toucan wants to find out what the area of his dome is. So what you have to do is take the radius and times it by pi, but the radius has to be squared. But we only know the diameter, and the diameter is 50 meters. But since the radius is only half of the diameter, we just divide the diameter by 2, which would give us 25 centimeters. Now, you might be wondering what radius squared means. So, basically what squared is the number times itself. So, if it's 25 squared, you take 25 and times it by 25, and which would give you 625 meters squared. So to finish off Toco the Toucan's question, we take pi, or 3.14, and times it by 25 squared, or 625, which would then give us an area of 1,962.5 meters squared. Now, the way they make a circle that is much better than the way I already showed you is by using a compass. It makes the radius of the circle, and when you trace it all the way around, it creates a perfect circle. So what you do is put the one end in the center of your circle and trace it around until you meet back up with the other end, and there you have a circle. Now for this part, I'm going to be constructing a perpendicular bisector of a segment. So basically what it does is constructs a 90-degree angle and locates the midpoint of a segment. Now, Toco the Toucan wants to use a bisector to construct 90-degree angles because that would be helpful for him to construct 90-degree angles. Now, let's see how you do it. So, first, you take your compass on a line that is on the page. Then, you find where the halfway point is and go past that. Then, you put it on the edge of your line and draw an arc above your page. Then do the same thing on the other side and it should make this. Then you take a ruler and mark it out with your line and you have your 90-degree angle. Now we are going to be constructing parallel lines using an angle. So first, you want to mark out your 2 points. The first point, A, is going to be marked where the angle is made. The second point is where you want your parallel line to be. Then you mark the point at the bottom of the angle, A. Then you mark the point where you want your parallel line to be, A prime. Now we begin to make the lines. So take your compass and find about where the halfway point is and put it on A. Then make an arc as you can see. Next step, you take that same distance of the arc you just made and put it on A. Then you make another arc. Then after that, you take your compass and measure the distance of the very first arc you made. Then you take that distance, put it where the new spot is, as you can see, and then mark it out. The last step is to connect the A prime and the new thing you just made with a ruler, and there you go. You have a parallel line. Now it is time to do the last thing. Before we start that, I want to mention the Cartesian plane. It is basically just two lines that intersect. In the intersecting spot is the 0 point. Then, out of there is a bunch of positive and negative numbers determining the positions of other spots. If you determine a certain position, you would then meet up at a certain point. This could be like city blocks. The numbers of the places is the positive and positive as 1, the negative and positive as 2, the negative and negative as 3, and the positive and negative as 4. How you do or mark out the spots to determine where you want to put a dot is by going x-axis, which is the horizontal, and the y-axis, which is the vertical. And you always put the numbers in that order. Now, the cool thing about the Cartesian plane is that you can move certain things in certain ways. This first one I'm going to be showing is called transition. Basically what it does is moves a shape into a different spot. So all the points of the shape have a certain letter, A, B, C, so on. Then if you want to decide where it goes, you give the certain places. So in this case it's going 3 to the side and 2 down. So what we do with point A is go 3 to the side and 2 down, as you can see. Then we mark that spot that it ends up at A prime, since it's the second. Then the next thing we do is take the B point and do the same thing. 3 to the side, 2 down, B prime as that point. Last one is C. So we move that the same coordinates, and then we end up in the spot it is. Then we mark C prime for that new spot. last thing we have to do is connect the dots of the letters. So you take a ruler and draw them out. The next thing we're going to learn in transformation is the reflection. To do reflection, you need a reflection line. The reflection line in this thing is x5. The reason why x is just x is because the reflection line is parallel with x, so we cannot give it a certain coordinate, since they both would just go on forever. So the way you do this is by counting the squares to the reflection line and seeing it back. As you can see, C is 1 square away, so we go 1 square away from the reflection line on the other side. I mark that as C prime prime, since that is still C prime. The next thing we do again is we keep doing that for all of them, B and A, and then you connect the dots, as you can see. Now, this is the most tricky one to do. It is rotation. So, we are going to be rotating this shape 90 degrees counterclockwise. And we're going to be pivoting it around at about 4, 6. So the pivot point is in the coordinates 4, 6. So that means it's right here. So clockwise is that direction, which is like a clock, and counterclockwise is the other direction. It spins the opposite way of a clock. Now, it's time to get this shape rotated. So we are going to be going in the direction of a clock, and we're going about 90 degrees around the pivot point of 4 and 6. So let's rotate B. So the way you want to do it is count how many squares down and how many squares to the side. So it's 1 square down, 1 square to the side. Now, to do this last part, we go 1 square up, 1 square to the side, as you can see. Then we mark that point B prime. Next, we do it for C. C is 1 down, 2 to the side. So we mark it 2 up, 1 to the side, and that will be C prime. Now for A, it's 2 down, 2 to the side. So it's 2 up, 2 to the side. And we mark that spot A prime. Now you just connect it as a dot to dot, and you rotated a shape.